Now, this really goes without saying, but most video games have lots of stuff in them. Our favourite visual worlds are littered with miscellaneous things that make the place look more lived in and authentic. A lamppost here, a bookshelf there, maybe a gigantic statue of an electric guitar as well. They're just window dressing, barely given a glance by the majority of players, consigned to a role as a bit of background furniture. In this list, however, we're looking at some instances of seemingly innocent objects that force you to pay attention to them by being completely suspect and totally untrustworthy. Whether there's magic, science, or something else at work, these everyday items are definitely up to no good. Prepare for monstrous musical instruments, treacherous household appliances, shifty industrial equipment, and more as we pick out some of gaming's most nefarious knickknacks. You'll never look at random stuff the same ever again. I'm Ashton from Triple Jump, and here are 10 video game objects that could not be trusted. Number 10. The piano. Super Mario 64. In Super Mario 64 and its Nintendo DS remaster, one of the locations Mario has to explore is the big spooky mansion known as Big Boo's Haunt. This unsettling locale is packed with tittering ghosties, sneaky traps and secret passageways, and has a surprisingly oppressive tone and ominous spooky ambiance. One particularly infamous moment from this stage concerns a grand piano. This majestic musical instrument is usually found in concert halls, being played by talented and dignified musicians for an audience filled with people of a refined music taste. But it is equally at home in the halls of a great mansion. Big Boo's Haunt is no exception, but the piano found there seems to have taken on some of the mansion's more sinister traits. Direct Mario too close to the seemingly innocent clavier, and the thing will suddenly come to life, opening and closing its lid to reveal enormous sharp teeth and making discordant clanging noises as it shambles towards you. Aside from a few cameos, this possessed piano is unique to Super Mario 64, and is also completely invincible. No amount of butt jumping will shut this musical monstrosity up, and don't even think about trying to tickle its ivories. Number 9. Chesty the Chest, the Fable series. Alright, so untrustworthy chests in games aren't exactly uncommon. Dungeons & Dragons first introduced the Mimic in 1977, and since then, these monsters, designed to punish greedy players by disguising themselves as treasure repositories, have shown up again and again throughout gaming, both video and otherwise. However, Chesty the Chest from the Fable series brings something new to the table, and is a bit more than just a predatory creature with a sneaky disposition. First appearing in Fable 2, Chesty is encountered in the Nightmare Hollow, a bizarre place that seems to exist within a dream. You'll notice that something strange is going on straight away, thanks to your character suddenly reverting to childhood for seemingly no reason. But hey, a chest is a chest, right? Let's see what kind of treasures are inside. Well, this chest wants something from you. To be super best friends! Chesty also wants to play a game, which boils down to you surviving wave after wave of progressively tougher enemies. This tricksy maniacal chest also turns up in Fable 3, where it will challenge you to a game of chess. Of course, Chesty's chess involves pieces that animate and will attack with bloodthirsty abandon. Honestly, how am I supposed to keep my strategic composure when all of this is going on? Some super best friend you are, Chesty. Number 8. Toaster, Fallout New Vegas. In the Fallout New Vegas add-on, Old World Blues, the protagonist is kidnapped by a group of pre-war scientists who replace their aging bodies with machines. One of the quests in this DLC is called All My Friends Have Off Switches, and introduces the players to a number of automated personalities inhabiting everyday objects. The most untrustworthy of these is a particularly murderous toaster. This apoplectic appliance is seemingly intent on being hooked into a bigger power supply so that it can bathe the world in atomic fire. Reminding the furious little fellow that it's only a toaster will do nothing to calm its maniacal temperament, but telling the toaster that the world has already been bathed in atomic fire, thanks to the war that sets up the series, will temporarily take the wind out of its sails. Honestly, the impotent rage and unbridled enthusiasm for destruction exhibited by this doomsday device stuck inside a plain old kitchen device is kind of adorable. Having said that, it definitely has the power to at least ruin your breakfast. Just imagine what it could do to your English muffins or Pop-Tarts. Doesn't bear thinking about. Number 7. Wallface, Secret of Mana. So far, we've looked at insidious objects that you might find in the average room, but what happens if the room itself tries to get you? In Square's SNES action RPG, Secret of Mana, you'll become accustomed to inanimate objects coming to life to give you trouble, with animated chairs being among the creatures you have to fight off. However, while exploring the depths of the Pandora ruins, you probably won't be expecting the very walls to come after you. This murderous masonry will awaken after the big bad, Thanatos, has dumped you into its lair. The living wall, known appropriately as Wallface, will open its 3 eyes and start battering you with powerful spells and energy-absorbing rays. If you want to fight back, you'll have to focus your attacks on its eyes, as bashing your sword against a brick wall isn't going to do anyone any good. To top it all off, Wallface will gradually move down the screen, making the room smaller and forcing you ever closer to the row of spikes at the other end. Luckily, if you use the right spells, it's fairly easy to achieve victory before that happens. I just hope Wallface wasn't load-bearing. Number 6. The Lawnmower. SimAnt, the electronic ant colony. Will Wright's 1991 colony simulator, SimAnt, the electric ant colony, has an interesting slant on the untrustworthy objects theme. In the game, the player must control various black ants in an effort to extend the reach of the colony and ultimately drive out the red ants and humans dwelling nearby. Most of the game takes place on or underneath the lawn of a suburban home, and where there are lawns, there are lawn mowers. Now, most of us watching this video are human, and us humans are able to understand that this lawnmower is indeed just an average lawnmower being pushed by an average guy. The ants have different ideas though. To them, this gargantuan bladed death machine seems to have a murderous will of its own as it rampages indiscriminately across the landscape. Should an unfortunate ant fall victim to the lawnmower, SimAnt will confirm exactly how the colony views this gardening implement, stating, "The evil lawnmower has sucked you into its giant whirring blades. Your body is reduced to a thin slime." Honestly, I can't blame them for thinking this massive piece of gardening equipment is out for their blood. Wait, do ants even have blood? Number 5. Shabby Doll. Silent Hill 4, The Room. In 2006's Silent Hill 4, The Room, protagonist Henry Townsend must escape from his supernaturally locked apartment whilst exploring disturbing otherworldly locations. Despite not actually being set in Silent Hill, the game continues a series' nasty traditions of unpleasant, grimy locations and shrieking, twisted abominations, containing more terrifying horror tropes than you can shake a spooky stick at. One such staple of the genre is a seemingly innocuous doll. I know what you're thinking, this is a doll in a horror game, of course it can't be trusted. But there's something about this one's particular brand of ghostly mischief that stands out. It is offered to the player by the equally treacherous Walter Sullivan, and Henry has the option to refuse the doll. Refuse if you should, dear viewer, because no good will come of possessing it. Despite originally being given to Walter in an act of selfless kindness, this doll will sit in your inventory, causing a particularly disturbing haunting if you accept it. Said haunting takes the form of a host of fleshy, wailing doll-like figures fused to a wall, causing Henry to take damage when he goes to pick up or put away his stuff. Another life lesson learned: don't accept dolls from shady strangers. Number 4. Combine Harvester. Alan Wake. In Remedy's excellent 2010 spook 'em up, Alan Wake, players take control of the titular novelist as he retreats to the isolated town of Bright Falls, hoping to rekindle his writing mojo. Unfortunately for Alan, but fortunate for fans of creepy video games, the town is soon beset by dark, malevolent forces. Said forces are apparently capable of possessing people, and handily for the purpose of this video, things. A while into Alan Wake, players will find themselves exploring a dimly lit barn with a combine harvester parked inside. Though the vehicle certainly casts an ominous silhouette, there's nothing especially untoward about it. I mean, you can't expect combine harvesters to be working the fields all the time. Their farmer mums and dads have to put them to bed at some point. Sure enough though, mere moments later, this extremely dangerous piece of agricultural equipment takes on a mind of its own, and hunts Alan down with murderous intent. It's quite the experience, seeing this thing erupt out of the night as poor Mr. Wake attempts to avoid being reaped, threshed, gathered and winnowed in a particularly gory fashion. Luckily, this massive darkness-possessed machine has but one weakness, and Alan is armed to the teeth with it. Eat flashlight beams, you glorified tractor! Number 3. Mysterious Mr. Gnome. The Sims 3. The Humble Garden Gnome. These diminutive little fellows represent an unseen magical world and can often be found accentuating lawns, water features, and perennial borders all over the world. Generally seen as quirky, harmless ornaments, most would agree that there's nothing about these cheery little terracotta tykes that would cause you to think they're up to no good. Of course, some people can't stand the little blighters, and if The Sims 3 is anything to go by, those people might be onto something. In EA's 2009 Life Simulator, there are numerous ways for your sim to acquire the decorative item known as Mysterious Mr. Gnome. These include exploring the catacombs beneath the graveyard or reaching milestones in the criminal career path. Any alarm bells ringing yet? Once acquired, you can place the new ornament wherever you like, but don't expect it to hang around. At approximately 1 AM every night, Mysterious Mr. Gnome will disappear, reappearing somewhere else on your property, usually in some unusual pose. Don't think you can box this little guy in either. Even 4 walls with no door won't stop him from going on his travels. When he starts appearing in the shadows at the foot of your bed though, it's maybe time to move out. Number 2. Everything. Prey. 2017. I don't want to alarm you, but that thing to your left, that's right, that thing right there that you're looking at, it could be a predatory, consciousness-devouring alien. I mean, it probably isn't, but that's the kind of paranoia 2017's Prey instills in you when it comes to innocuous inanimate objects. In the game, players take on the role of scientist Morgan Yu, who finds himself on a space station inhabited by aggressive alien race known as the Typhon. While the Typhon comes in many scary, slithery forms, it's the Mimic that we're focusing on for this list. These leaping, spider-like monstrosities are able to shapeshift into any object of comparable size, and wait in ambush, perfectly replicating their chosen muse. This results in a game where pretty much everything and anything could well be out to get you. And do you know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like a horrible anxiety-inducing experience. It's not quite clear how the Mimics achieve this transformation trick, with theories including molecular structure alteration, perception-changing abilities, and even dimensional transportation. No matter how they do it though, the advice remains the same. Don't trust anything. Especially that thing behind you. I think it just moved. And number 1, animatronics. Five Nights at Freddy's. If you've ever been to a usually bustling public place when it's completely deserted, you'll notice that there's an unusual otherworldly ambience. Empty schools, closed shops and bars, they all gain the isolated 28 Days Later-esque atmosphere when there's no one else around. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the restaurant chain from the Five Nights at Freddy's games, has this kind of atmosphere in spades, and takes the ominousness one step further by adding some giant, unsettling cartoon animals into the mix. In this game, the player takes on the role of a hapless Fazbear's employee who's been tasked with looking after a restaurant overnight. This job soon becomes more trouble than it's worth, with Freddy Fazbear and his friends getting far more animated than can be expected of an average animatronic. Honestly, being in dark buildings with these things is bad enough, even if they weren't possessed by vengeful spirits of murder victims. Being stuck with them once they start moving around of their own volition, though, is just too terrifying to imagine, especially considering your only defences are a few CCTV screens and some really dodgy electronics. Luckily, here in the real world, random objects can't possibly take on a malevolent sentience of their own. It just can't happen. Still, keep an eye on your stuff tonight, okay? Just to be safe.